Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I was wanting to share some memories with you about my second cousins, because they used to be a big part of my life and would come in on their vacations. And it was Dickie and Donnie and Phyllis. And they had so many great stories that they used to come in and tell. And I thought, well, if I don't record some of them, they'll be gone and lost forever because I won't be able to remember them. So I'm just going to rattle them off here, and hopefully I can get a few recorded. So the first story they used to tell is their mother was Flora McGahey, and I always called her Aunt Flora. And she went to the grocery store one time, and Dickie and Donnie and Phyllis were with her, and she parked the car, and she said, "I'm only going to be in the grocery store for a few minutes. I'll be right back out." And while they were gone, Donnie dared Phyllis to drive the vehicle, to move it. And she said, "Well, what do I do, Donnie?" And Donnie said, well, turn the key and start it. So she turns the key and starts it. And she said, "Well, now what do I do, Donnie?" And Donnie said, "Put it in the R, pull that handle down, put it in reverse." And she does that, and she backs out, and he tells her to turn the wheel, and they go around that parking lot. And I think he finally gets her to put it in park and stops in the grass somewhere where it doesn't belong, but she doesn't feel comfortable driving it any further. And so Aunt Flora comes out, and her vehicle's been moved, and she goes and finds it, and boy, she is upset, and she grabs Phyllis by both shoulders, and she says, "You could have hurt your baby brother." And there was no "you could have hurt yourself." There was no "you could have hurt Donnie." It was "you could have hurt your baby brother, Dickie Dale." And Phyllis and Donnie loved telling that story because it proved to everyone that Dickie Dale was a mama's boy, and they thought that was just so funny. And the next story Dickie used to tell was about a TV evangelist that would come, came to Ohio, and Aunt Flora wanted to take Dickie to have that TV evangelist pray for him because he had seizures. And they stood in line forever and ever, and I think each time he told it, the line got longer. I'm not for sure, but they waited and waited to get up there to that TV evangelist, and as soon as they got there, the TV evangelist smacked Aunt Flora on the head and said, "You're healed." And they went on, and that really upset Dickie because they waited in line for a long time for him to be prayed for, and instead the TV evangelist prayed for Aunt Flora, and she laughed and laughed until tears was rolling down her face. And Dickie Dale said, I don't see how you can laugh at that when we stood there in line all that time for him to pray for me, and he prayed for you. And she said, Dickie, when he prayed for me the whole time, I was there praying for you. And his prayer went right through me, right into you. And she was always built up to be this very religious, very close to God person. And Dickie would always say, if it wasn't for her, all her grandchildren, Becky, Michael, Andy, and Susan, and Donnie's 2 girls, all of them would have died by the age of 3 if she had not been praying for them. And I don't know why he used to say that, like they were all really mean kids. I don't know but she was definitely a prayer warrior. And well, on to the next story. The next story he used to tell was about Phyllis, and she had went on a date with a boy, and Phyllis was always in perfect shape and had the perfect hair, the perfect makeup. You know, you've ever heard of a Kodak moment? Well, if you ever took a picture of Phyllis from any angle, at any moment, at any time, it would have been a Kodak moment. You know, you hear about people taking a picture of someone and breaking the camera. Well, a camera would spontaneously fix itself if it got the opportunity to take a picture of Phyllis. I mean, she was a lady of perfection. As if you've seen her, you would think, man, she is awesome. And she was on a date, and she had a boyfriend in the car with her, and he was just as perfect as her. I had the perfect hair. Every hair was in place, and they were sitting there talking, and the boy had the window cracked about that much, and Dickie Dale snuck outside, and he got him some snow that was on the ground, and he packed it into a snowball and walked around the house. And the whole time he was walking, he was packing that snowball. And that boy had left just enough crack for him to wind up that snowball for the perfect pitch, and he threw it through that crack and hit him in the back of the head. And boy, he came out of that vehicle and ran after Dickie. And Phyllis, she jumped out and she said, "Don't kill my baby brother. Don't kill my baby brother." And that was a story he used to tell. And boy, it was funny. We tried to get him to tell it all the time. And another time, he got invited to stay somewhere with some people he went to high school with, and I think it was like a welding class or something. And they were staying at this cabin, and this place had an outhouse, and he went to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, and they got out, and one person had a pistol, and another one had a camera, and another one was standing behind the outhouse with a broom. and they waited for him to get real good and comfortable, and they filmed it. The guy with the gun, the outhouse, and the guy with the broom. And then they put that camera right on the door of that outhouse, and that guy shot that gun up in the air, and the guy with the broom hit the back of the outhouse so hard that door flew open, and then out came Dickie Dale, and he ran out of that outhouse as hard as he could go, and up the hill to the cabin, and he said, "Man, I'll give you $100 for that video." And he said, "Oh no, $100 wouldn't touch it. We're going to show this at the class reunion in a couple of months." He said, "Oh no, don't do that." He said, "Oh yeah, we are going to do this." And the class reunion came, and they showed it, and he was really worried about whether or not his pants were up or down, because they wouldn't tell him, and he couldn't remember. And come to find out, his pants were pulled up, and they laughed and laughed about that. And another time, he owned a welding shop, and a policeman would come in there and tell stories of things that happened on the police beat. And one time there was a cop came in, and he said, in this particular cop, he kept a snake in the trunk of his car, and he was all the time bringing these really tough guys in, because he'd say, "If you don't calm down and come in, I'm going to get my snake out. You don't want me to get my snake out, do you?" And a lot of these people were scared of his snake, because it was a big python, and he had to throw chickens back there to feed it and stuff. According to Dickie Dale, I'm not for sure, but he came in and said, "I've lost my badge," or "I just about lost my badge." And he said, "Well, what happened?" And they got a call, and to this house there was a disturbance, a marital dispute, and out in the field there was a nest of snakes, and they found an old briefcase and put them snakes in that briefcase. And then they went out on the interstate and put that briefcase on the side of the interstate, and then they went over to an overpass where they could look down and watch that briefcase. And in a few minutes, a vehicle pulled over to the side of the road and got that briefcase to investigate what was in it, and they drove off, and they didn't make it a quarter of a mile down the road, and all four doors flew open, and they jumped out in the middle of the interstate, and it took them a long time to round up all them snakes and convince them that they could drive off, that there was no snakes. And man, they stopped that interstate for a long time, and over a joke. It was a joke that these policemen had done. Just see the reaction out of someone opening that briefcase full of snakes. And he always had wild tales and jokes to come in and tell, and boy, Phyllis, she was always a joy to be around, and so was Donnie. And I love them and miss them so much, and that's all I can think of right now, but I'll talk to you later. Bye.